Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people in the industry start as dishwashers and then realize that they want to be a cook. I guess I have some pieces of advice for people who would be starting out in the industry. Life's too short to just pile your food on the plate in a mess. And so I always think about how can I make this look nice? Go to the farmers markets and try to buy what's in season at the time. I mean, I have my own knife bag that I take to work. We have knives there, but they're not as nice as mine. Hi everybody, my name is Vanina Kuri. I am currently part of the kitchen team at Cadre in Madison, Wisconsin, and this is the Layered Onion. Gosh, that is something that I didn't envision myself as a kid. I had always wanted to be a teacher, and then I kind of changed my mind a lot as I grew up. And during COVID, the place I was currently working at the time offered me a job in the kitchen to wash dishes. And so I was just kind of like, I've never done this before, but sure, I'll give it a try. And when I started dishwashing there, I slowly transitioned into doing more prep work. And while I was there, I've just found that it just clicked with me and I really enjoyed it. And it was a good way for me to kind of escape. And it didn't always feel like work. And it's fun because you're always getting to learn new things. And so once I realized I really enjoyed doing the prep and starting to cook there, I decided that my next move should be culinary school to continue learning. Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people in the industry start as dishwashers and then realize that they want to be a cook. So that's kind of how I started. And then I start as a line cook. Some people start as a prep cook and they kind of slowly train and learn their way through the kitchen. So when I started at Cadre, or this is for most kitchens, they'll start you on one station. And once you've learned that station, they'll kind of progress you to learn maybe cooking entrees and learning how to sear fish and cook more expensive plates. And so you kind of start by learning all of that. And then once you have that under control and you're doing a good job, then they would probably look at either a junior sous chef position or becoming a sous chef. And then you kind of work your way up from there. The sous chef would be the chef's right-hand man. They're the ones that kind of help the chef hold everything together. They help write schedules, create new menu dishes, and run the restaurant when the chef isn't around. I definitely recommend an 8-inch chef knife. That's pretty good use, versatile knife for doing most cutting and prep work. A paring knife is really good. And usually you want some sort of serrated bread knife would be the 3 main go-tos. I also really I have a 5-inch utility knife at home, which I also really like for cutting apples or cutting up a snack. Because then it's just a lot smaller. There's a lot of good knife brands and they all really depend on your what you're looking for in a knife and how much you want to spend, because you can spend $50 on a pretty decent knife and you can spend a lot of money on a knife, and they all do the same thing. But I mean, it depends on what you're looking for.
Are chefs expected to bring their knives with them?
Kind of, yeah, I would say so. I mean, I have my own knife bag that I take to work. We have knives there, but they're not as nice as mine.
How often do you sharpen your knives?
I probably take it to get sharpened about once every other month. I need to learn how to sharpen my knife myself. For me, it's mostly because I feel if the food looks really good on the plate, there's something about that brings me joy. And the food's going to taste the same whether I make it look pretty or not. But to me, in a way, it makes it taste better. And so life's too short to just pile your food on the plate in a mess. And so I always think about how can I make this look nice? Because there's something about it that brings me joy when I make the plate look presentable, kind of like you'd get in a restaurant before I sit down and eat it. Definitely think about the plate and the type of food that you're wanting to eat and that you're cooking, because you want to, if it's something that has a lot of sauce or liquid, you might want something with edge. So think about the physical plate that you put it on. Then I would think about, gosh, I don't know. just think about like if you have like crispy textures, like if you have something that you really want to stand out, making sure that that's like the main focus, and then getting some height on the plate. So putting your veggies and stacking things together to raise it off the plate and give it some height is always kind of what I think about. My biggest thing would be go to the farmers markets and try to buy what's in season at the time, whether that's the Dane County's farmers market or a local small town one. Usually you can find pretty good produce there. There's usually tomatoes, broccoli, onions. Sometimes there's different lettuce mixes. And so just try to shop as locally and seasonally as possible. And also garden. I like to garden. And so like a lot of times that's really rewarding too, because you get to use the ingredients that you've worked really hard to grow from the seed or the small plant. My go-tos have always been tomatoes, peppers. Usually I'll do green bell peppers and some jalapenos. I've done carrots. Those are very hit or miss for me. I also enjoy doing like cucumbers or zucchini. Those are usually pretty low maintenance plants as a good starting point. I also like to do chives, parsley, and usually I'll do thyme, maybe some lavender. Those are all pretty easy. I mostly just like to grow it because it smells good. But sometimes I will pick it, and I've seen where like you can steep it into milk and make like a lavender ice cream or like some different desserts. Similar to what I mentioned in the beginning, it's a good way for me to kind of escape my stressors of life, especially when I cook at home and I'm able to just focus on the ingredients that I'm cooking and transforming those into something that's delicious and tasty. And so that's kind of what I like to do as a way to kind of escape. And that's how it's been healing for me, is to just, I kind of like, I'm able to let my problems go and just think about what I'm cooking and forget about X, Y, and Z that's bothering me in real life. Yeah, so I'm trying to kind of make it like showing people that like restaurant worthy or like higher quality meals are still achievable at home, and that they don't have to be super daunting, I guess is my hope, is what my videos come across as. Because I feel like a lot of people fall into the rut of cooking the same thing. Like I know I was for a while, where it was like the same like 5 or 10 dishes on repeat kind of. And so it's good to have more variety. And so I'm hoping that I can inspire people to enjoy new things and try new recipes. I did a little bit of cooking. My mom didn't cook a ton as I was growing up. She started more now that I've cooking. Now she cooks more, but I would cook sometimes with my grandma. And then as I got a little bit older, probably like 10, 12, then I started cooking a little bit. And then I kind of got away from it for a while because I didn't really think that I could make it into a career. I didn't really realize or ever think about that could be my life. But then once I graduated high school, I realized that was not the case. I guess I have some like pieces of advice for people who would be starting out in the industry.
That's great. Awesome.
So my biggest things would be to like make sure that you learn how to work cleanly and efficiently and stay organized, because that makes your life a lot easier, especially when you have big prep lists and long days. I also think that it's really important to remember that you're not going to learn the skills overnight. It's a lot of repetitions and a lot of doing the same thing over and over again before you're going to be really good at that knife skill or cooking technique, whatever it is. Because culinary school goes so fast, you don't really get to like really focus on your knife skills and your techniques. But when you get to the industry, it's the exact opposite. It's like, okay, we're going to have you do these 4 things over and over again every day. And that's how you learn to be good, is that you don't learn the skills overnight. A lot of practice. My biggest goal, whether I like open a restaurant or do my own thing someday, is to hopefully inspire others to cook and find joy in cooking, especially females, because we're in such a male-dominated industry that it's good to have some girls in the kitchen as well. But my dream is also to hopefully someday open a restaurant. I always change my mind on exactly what I want that restaurant to look like. But that's my goal. My name is Vanina Kuri, and you can find me on Instagram at niners.22, and this has been The Layered Onion.